The Finance Minister, Tito Mboweni, announced yesterday that the Police Service and National Defence Force will get a cash injection of 950 million rand. This is part of government's efforts to protect vulnerable communities following days of unrest. But the announcement comes on the back of a new wage agreement criticised by the police, prisons and civil rights union, that's Popcru. The union saying a 1.5% increase for public servants is an insult to its frontline workers. For reaction now on these latest developments, I'm joined by Popcru spokesperson Richard Mamabolo. Mr. Mamabolo, thank you very much for your time. Firstly, your reaction to this amount of 950 million rand split between the police and members of the South African Defence Force.
Thank you, Xoli. I think ensuring peace and stability and, of course, enforcing law and order has always been part of the goals of law enforcement agencies in the country. So we don't think it cannot be something of a periodic nature. You know, there's been a lot of challenges that members of the SAPS have been facing. Now, the SAPS will be getting 250 million additional allocation, and we do not think that it will have any impact, because if you remember, just a few months back, there were budget cuts into the SAPS budget. So there's about 0.8% of the annual rate of the SAPS budget that has been cut, and that of course has got a negative impact on service delivery. As well, the fact that currently the SAPS is trying to enter into a process of re-enlisting more members, former members who had left the service, is precisely because we've got about over 5,000 members who have left the service for various reasons, of course, and the majority of reasons include resignations. So that shows that members are not comfortable with the current status of the SAPS. So these budget cuts, of course, you cannot cut out over 11 billion rands and expect that 250 million rand will make any form of difference. So there are many underlying challenges that the SAPS continues to face, and of course I think the approach of only dealing with matters as and when they occur, we should have sufficient capacity to determine whether there will be certain unrest or not. So the minister in saying that this allocation is for peace and stability, really it will not necessarily avail unless you deal with the core challenges that the SAPS has been facing over the years. The SAPS has got 187,000 members who have to look after a population of over 60 million people, and of course within that 187,000 members, you've got about over 30% who are office-based. So its capacity has obviously been strained for years, and the budget cuts that have been continuing since then go against the president's actual call that we should actually ensure that we have violent crimes within the next decade, which is a commitment he made in his first State of the Nation address. Now, since then, everything has been going downwards, really.
Yeah, Mr. Mamabolo, there also could be a double-edged sword here, with some who may view these increases to the law enforcement budget, especially with the words that have been expressed to say this is in an effort to protect vulnerable communities. The flip side of that, some might say this actually could be a way of South Africa demonstrated that it is slowly edging towards a police state, given that you have people that are increasingly growing hungry, and as a result of hunger there might be social unrest. And so for you to arrest that, you need to increase budgets towards law enforcement so that they are adequately capacitated to stem that. How do you view those sentiments as a union?
I think we can agree that part of the current challenges, of course, are partly remnants of the socio-economic conditions that a majority of our people are facing. And of course, I think police officers as well are working class men and women who've got their own challenges as well. I mean, so there is some aspect of truth into that. However, our members as well have generally been demoralized. And I think the salary cuts, the fact that the minister as well, the Minister of Police had announced recently that there won't be any salary increases for the next 3 years. Those are obviously matters that have got negative impact. The morale is quite low now on our members. And of course, I think, you speak about the police die on a daily basis. Police have been banned just 2 days ago in the Northwest. Nobody's saying about it, anything about it. And of course, the fact that, danger allowance amongst police. So there are many other challenges that police face within the SAPS in itself. The uneven allocation of resources across the country as well speaks to what is being raised now, that we obviously need to ensure that the allocations that are distributed are sufficient enough to ensure that services can be provided to communities. However, when you reduce 11.8 billion and then you want to give an extra 250 million, it will not address all these challenges that we speak about. So it's pointless, really. We feel that this amount is quite pointless. It will not make any dent in ensuring that we improve the socio-economic conditions, or rather the allocation of resources for police to be able to do their work. And one of the other things, of course, is not necessarily financial, but we need to obviously look into how we build good working relations between police and communities. I think those will be some of the aspects that would be needed.
All right, Richard Mamabolo, thank you very much for that particular reaction to Finance Minister Tito Mboweni yesterday, committing an amount of 950 million rand towards the police and the soldiers in order to protect vulnerable communities.